this film is not only eligible for those other awards, it's eligible for the Changemaker Award, which celebrates a film that explores themes of social change and youth empowerment. And those films are plucked from the TIFF Next Wave selection, so that's really awesome. Let's give a big round of applause for Next Wave. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Moviance Entertainment, Mansab Studios, and Telvaz 11 Studios for providing us with this film. And seriously, what a film this is. I have to give another shout out to my colleague, Natalia Hunter-Young, who saw this film and immediately texted me and was like, Peter, I think I have a movie for you, camel emoji. It was the most perfect emoji possible. This movie is so exciting. It represents not only the beginning of an extraordinary new voice and a new filmmaker that I think you guys are all going to fall in love with. It also represents an extraordinary performance from a TIFF rising star, Adwa. And I think it also represents, as we have been seeing all week at the festival, especially in Natalia's programming, a new wave of Saudi cinema. And Midnight Madness, I've always felt that Midnight Madness is a great space and section to discover new perspectives on genre filmmaking. This year we're visiting Serbia. Last year we visited, or 2 years ago we visited Senegal, we visited Iran, we visited Uganda. Now we're going to see something really special and I cannot wait. So I'm just going to introduce the filmmaker to you right now, Meshal Al Jaser. Please take the stage.
Thank you everyone for coming. I did not expect this amount of people to show up. I thought it was going to be more cozy, but I appreciate that. I think I can handle it. I'm very honored and privileged to showcase Naga and TIFF world premiere. When I first made this comedy film, I thought I was making a comedy. And then when the studio saw the final result, they said it's a thriller. And I said, okay, I guess it has a couple of jokes in it, so we agreed to disagree. And then when it got selected for Midnight Madness, that made a lot of sense, because even though I can't define a specific genre for this film, I think I can assure you there's plenty of madness in it. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoy. And no, this is my first feature film. This is the first feature film. It's the first feature film for my cast and most of my crew, so it's a really new experience, and we're happy to be here. And I think that's it. I think I hope you guys like it, for real.
They will. Turn off your phones, bring them back for the Q&A, because there's going to be one, and enjoy Naga!
Yazeed Almajyul, please. Producer, Almotaz Aljefri, please. And the composer, Omar Fadel. And finally the editor, Laith Majali.
All right, so think of some good questions. I'm going to start things off. Where did the initial idea or inspiration come from? Both the concept of like a woman trying to get home at night, but also sort of the context that you provide that opening sequence.
Okay, so I always was like I was always fascinated by the dating culture back home. It's almost like a subculture kind of, and so I always wanted to do something kind of romantic. That starts romantic, that becomes something else. And growing up, I also always heard stories about camels, but the ones that kind of captivated me the most are the twisted ones that like this like this gentle animal can be vicious if it gets sick, and it's also really spiteful. I know maybe to some Western audience it's such a like a fantasy idea, but they do actually attack, and they are actually spiteful, just like elephants, kind of. So I wanted to do a romantic film that starts with that and ends up with like a camel beating up someone. That's really the motivation.
And how did you find your lead actor?
Oh, Adwa was a really good friend of mine. So I like knew her, and most of the cast, I actually just cast the person. I mean, she's way sweeter than the character. She's very nice, but she is very powerful, and she is like really like strong and determined, just like the character. And just knowing her for years, I always knew she's a star. Honestly, like I always knew she's special, and I'm just glad that she. For Yazeed, I met him. I casted him for this role because he's honestly very authentic, and I know for some of you guys, like, you can't understand what he's saying. Like, you read the subtitles, but he's a smooth talker. And, like, he fit the character very well, and he really balanced the movie.
Awesome. So what one of the things that really struck me with the film is the exceptional and disorienting camera work. And I want to know sort of what sort of inspired and what kind of rigs were even used to achieve that. But I also want to hear from the actors of what it was like to be photographed when it feels like you are running all around them, and sometimes I would imagine an actor might not know where even their frame is.
I just kept looking at the ground. I wanted to avoid the camera at all costs, like just not looking at it, because honestly, like you said, it could be everywhere. It was an interesting experience, to say the least. It was definitely an interesting experience. I enjoyed every part of it, and yeah, it was. Meshal, how do you think I handled it?
Great. We did a lot of rehearsals,
Yeah.
so a lot of like I wasn't
A lot of
shooting.
running.
I shot everything on iPhone. At the rehearsal, you know what I mean? So they kind of got a sense of like how I'm gonna move, and that helped, I guess. Yeah.
And what was it like working with that camel?
The camel's actually really sweet. Like, it's the sweetest camel. She's like old and very
It's all
sweet.
sound design to make it scary.
It is. And I think my favorite part was the beginning of like just being around the camels. Like, that moved me, and I knew that it kind of solidified the experience for me during the filming process.
I'd love to hear about your collaboration with your editor and how that process went. Some of the editing in this film is just so terrific, both the really disorienting like montage sequences, but also just some of the staccato editing that you have for comic effect that I think are so funny and so well realized. What was your collaboration like?
I mean, I really like gave him a hard time in this project, so he can speak for him. So I was very specific with a lot of things, but he added so much to the project. I also like edited with him some stuff, so we we collaborated in a really good way because he's a professional editor. Like, he's a real editor that made amazing films, and I'm like just a guy who knows how to edit.
It was a great experience. I've known of Meshal's work since his first short film maybe 10 years ago on YouTube, and the first time I saw that I was like, who in the world is this guy? And he was 17, I think, at that time, and I've always wanted to work with him. We had developed a friendship over the years in Los Angeles, and when he asked me to edit his first feature, it was quite an honor to work with one of our young geniuses in the Arab world. As Meshal said, this is a shared credit between me and him in the editing, and we actually did work. We both edited this film together. Me having the experience, and Meshal had this being his first feature, first time working with an editor. We had to find a way to keep on moving forward, whether it's how we divvied up the scenes, how we continue to perfect the edit and tighten it up. I just wanted to guide him through his first experience and make it not difficult, but this is not an easy film to edit. There's a lot that you have to work with, but I think everyone did such a great job. The actors gave us a lot to work with, and Meshal, like, you know, it's not just him learning from me, it's also me learning from him. So I think it was a great experience, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's terrific. Terrific editing. And then the score. I love the music in the film. And I'll be honest, this was my first time hearing all of it really completed, because this one was invited on a rough cut because we just saw the potential there. But can we speak about like designing the score and working with your composer? And I particularly love that final piece, that sort of synth piece that plays.
Yeah. I mean, his music is better than the film. I always tell him that. And he I think the direction we like kind of aimed for is like a Western psychedelic type of music.
Like an acid Western.
Yeah. So that's like in terms of the final piece. And then for the rest, please, I don't know if you want to talk about it.
It's a film that covers obviously a lot of emotional ground, and it's an adventurous film, and so it was, I knew it from the beginning that it would be an adventurous score that would, there's a lot of different moving parts, and but luckily Meshal has impeccable taste, and the goal was to bring his vision to life, and I think we did. I think it worked.
Yeah, it's incredible. We're going to go to the audience now. Yeah, give the applause for the score. Incredible score. So in a second, is there any hands in the air right over there, and then we'll go there. Yes. Yes, you right in the middle.
Just a shout across, I guess. I had a question about the camel, because it's really impressive, and the fact that you mentioned that there is a real camel involved. I was wondering, because it looked too real to be CGI to me. I was wondering if it was all just a real camel, or if there was practical effects.
The question was, how did they achieve the camel sequences?
Yeah.
How much of it was real? How much of it was manipulated through digital effects or practical effects?
So actually, this scene was the most challenging for me because what I did is basically I mixed three things. I did CGI. I didn't have much budget, so I only had 8 shots that I can do in 3D. And then I got a real camel. I bought a real camel for the close-ups. And then I had a puppet for the kicking. And then I just mixed both of them together. And a lot of the scenes, the camel kind of would. It's not a trained camel. It's just a camel. And he would just move around, and he would improvise a movement, like method acting. And I would just kind of try to find the continuity within his motion. So that's why it was kind of challenging.
Over there, then we'll go there. Yes. Yes.
I was wondering whether or not there were limitations on filmmaking because of the dictatorship.
Were you is the question about his inspiration for certain filmmaking techniques?
Limitation.
Limitations. Sorry, I heard imitation. So limitations. So the question is, what kind of limitations did they have?
Yes, because of the government.
Oh, were there any restrictions to the type of story you could tell?
No, we're chill.
No, we're sure.
Your process of writing each time segment, but also what's going to happen next in the story.
So the question's about structuring the story. The fact that you have a story with a very specific timeline, but editorially you're also jumping around. So how was it writing that process? And then the second part of the question is simply, what do you think is next? I assume for him as a director, or do you want a sequel to Naga? Which, hey, another date maybe.
For writing, I think I wanted to do a really simple narrative, a very basic narrative where it's just time, and just see how the kind of the story gets escalated with time as it passes. It's a very simple ticking clock structure with just a lot of messed up scenes. And what's next for this? I don't really know. I barely wrote this one. But hopefully something.
Question over there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the poet character, and if it's based on anyone that you know in real life.
Which character?
The poet character.
The poet character. Was the poet character? Are you satirizing a poet you know or a celebrity? Or you don't want to get into trouble?
No, I'm not actually. It's just we have a lot of, poetry is big back home, and some poets are just like, you know, like musicians here, you have ghostwriters and you have artists that take credit, and it's the same thing with poetry, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I'm not dissing someone specific.
Do we have any questions in the balcony?
Yeah.
Yes, right there. Sorry, I missed you.
This is a little obvious, but it really struck me that she and the camel had a really good reason despite the limits put on your freedom. And I wonder how that guided structuring it thematically and your performance as well.
Questions about the relationship between the camel and Adwa's character and the limits that they face and their frustrations with those limits.
Okay, I'm gonna answer the first part, then Adwa can answer the second part. I just wanted to give, I wanted both of them to be kind of a little bit three-dimensional in terms of like, when the mother is attacking her, you kind of don't know who's in the right, because her and her boyfriend technically killed the baby, and but at the same time it's not her problem, and I wanted them both to have this negative internal energy and this justification to act up, and I think that's and like also like each act that she does through the movies, I kind of out of holding grudge, and that really like made her kind of added more conflicts in her way instead of making it easy and for the performance.
Well, I think she's a product of her environment, and that really helped me understand the character. And as Meshal said, I'd like to build on the fact that like everything she did resisting her expression just led her to more trouble. So it wasn't until that she finally exploded that she was able to just find some peace. And for me, that's what helped me understand the characters, the symbolism between her and the camel, and just understanding really like what's causing the pain and its innate inability to express yourself. Thank you.
Question right over there.
Yeah. So one of my favorite scenes is the middle section where there's like it's the poet and the main character. I'm just curious if you were paying any reference, or how did you come up with that particular scene? Did you start with the camera, or did you just kind of start with the dialogue?
The scene. It was the questions about the scene in the poet's tent and the formal conceit of having them so far away from each other, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that sequence. What inspired that visual joke? Because it's such a funny sequence.
Well, I think it's, so we built this tent, and it cost a lot of money. I really didn't have a good scene or justification to why it's so long. I just wanted it to be like, he's wealthy, and he has the same fabric that her friend couldn't buy, like pillows from in the shop. He has a whole tent up. And I wanted to add more to his wealth that is, like, sometimes he's so wealthy that it's inconvenient. That's really where it came from.
That's great. Another question, and yes, right there.
Just wanted to kind of ask, how does it feel to bring an Arab representation of the culture to a festival here in the West?
How does it feel to bring Arab representation to TIFF? How does it feel to bring Arab representation to a festival in the West?
I mean, I'm very privileged, honestly, and I feel very happy to represent my culture in this way, because I feel like I'm representing it like in a way where usually the West, they don't see it that way, you know what I mean? And like, especially for a Saudi woman character, like usually they're presented in a very gentle, you know what I mean, matter, and then the matter, and it's pretty like kind of shallow, and I kind of wanted to show how, like just give it more of an authentic representation of that. So I think I feel good.
How does it feel for the rest of you? Yeah.
It feels amazing. It's incredible. Like I just wanted to jump on and be like, it's amazing. I'm so happy to be here. This is such a dream, and it is a dream come true. It is definitely a beautiful thing to witness in today's world. So I'm incredibly grateful to TIFF and like this whole process and just being here and the whole team. We wouldn't have done it without them, and I'll leave that.
Yes. Well, the question over there, and I got one more too. Yes.
Can you tell us a little more about the backstory for the father, the opening scene and all that?
Could you talk a little bit about the backstory in the opening sequence? What inspired that?
I think
Should we
it's
just
a
Google
thing-
it?
Google, it's just a thing I read a while ago, based on a true story, like just a while ago, and then I was like, that would be a sick scene. And then I shot it. That's it. I don't have a lot of motivation, like, it's just, I just want to do fun stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a very effective sequence for, the cast a certain specter. It kind of clues you in to certain ideas in the film.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask about is I just love that car chase so much. It's such an incredible car chase, and I just want to know: are there any stories about how you had to shoot that car chase?
Yeah.
Or that shot where the cameras revolving around the car? I just want to hear all about that before we wrap things up.
Well, I want to introduce you to the stunt man, this guy, because we didn't have a stunt dude. He was actually driving the car, the main cast, and we didn't have like a Russian arm or something cool to shoot with. You know what I mean? Like when they do car chases. So I kind of wanted to go with a very like a dirty, kind of almost like a rock music video look, and we definitely got into like a little bit of trouble in that neighborhood, but like it was good at the end. But like we got postponed and stuff.
That shot where the camera like starts in the car and then it feels like it pulls back. How was that achieved?
Hidden cut.
Hidden cut.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome editing. Please give it up for Naga. And remember, you have a chance to vote for this film. How cool would it be if the first Saudi film Midnight Madness wins? TIFF.net/vote. Do not forget to vote for the films at the festival. Thank you so much.